afternoon, everyone. What a great turnout. So good to see so many of you here on a snowy day. How many of you actually did have to put on your cross-country skis? Anybody? No? James? So tired. Yeah. But Governor Hassen came the longest. She got an early start this morning in the old state Tahoe, right? Yeah. So we're very, very pleased to have Governor Hassen here and to see such a good turnout. This type of event was initially, the idea came from our business committee. We felt that there would be a good turnout at these kinds of events. Our last one was the State of the City, where we had Jim Dugan and Jack McLean and Governor Lane, who talked about everything that's going on in the city, and that was a good turnout over at the Marriott. And we'll be doing more of these on a regular basis. I would be remiss if I did not mention our upcoming spring raffle and spring social. Lynn Rust is the chair this year, and he is really pushing to sell more tickets than ever. He could win $10,000.
I got some right with me.
He's got some right with him. All right. So thank you all for coming, and without further ado, I would like to introduce Bonnie Carrillo from PSNH, without whom we would not have this event because they are the main sponsors. Also, I will thank Keene Sentinel and the Manhattan Radio Group for being our media sponsors. They helped us get the word out. And Bonnie.
Thank you. On behalf of everyone at PSNH, welcome to today's Civic Luncheon and a special welcome to our honored guest, Governor Maggie. We at PSNH are proud of our long history in Keene, both as a business and a partner in the economic and civic well-being of the city and the entire Monadnock region. In addition to our active support over the years of the Keene Chamber, PSNH stands to view in investing in the region's economic future as a Keene partner with a hand of Ryan Sunday, and investing in the well-being of the region's citizens through our commitment to Monadnock United Way. As everyone in the region can attest, Keene and the region, over some of the very best of New Hampshire life, we have tight-knit communities with people known for finding creative solutions to common issues. We have excellent schools, excellent healthcare facilities, and a diverse natural bounty of mountain peaks, woodland paths, pristine lakes and streams, and farmlands. We also realize that these are wonderful attributes, but in today's economy, we have a hard time thriving. It also takes outside the box thinking and a commitment to the investment of time, energy, and resources to ensure that Keene and the entire region keep ahead of the ever-changing economic curve and attract good-paying jobs for this region. It's a daunting challenge, but as PSNH has discovered over the last 85 years being in business, it's all about coming together, business, communities, nonprofits, and individuals to make it work. A good starting point for us is to make sure we have high-speed telecommunications and a reliable electric infrastructure are in place to attract most successful businesses to this region. But just as important is our mutual efforts to develop and get behind new and existing programs that support the developmental needs of children and families, as well as programs that provide educational opportunities and initiatives that have developed a good skilled workforce to meet the demands of the best paying jobs for this region. Working together, we can begin to build a great place to live, raise a family, and run our businesses. Like energy providers across the country, PSNH faces daily challenges that go hand in hand with a volatile regional and international energy supply, and everything from the uncertain future of the regional energy supply to negotiating the waters of energy choice in New Hampshire. Pursuing cleaner energy solutions is another thing that we have to look at too, but all at a lower cost to our customers. But I assure you that PSNH is committed to remaining not only a long-term, stable energy provider, but a reliable community partner here in Keene and throughout the National region. We are proud to be a local New Hampshire company serving New Hampshire communities and the people in this region and the state. And so an old saying, but it's true, we're all in this together. So we have to stay together to make it work. Enjoy today's luncheon. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie, and thank you again to PSNH for sponsoring this luncheon. We are all in it together. And now I would like to introduce Laverne Ells from TD Bank. She is the board chair of the Greater Keene Chamber of Commerce.
So I had on my notes to say good morning because I think we were going to start earlier, but as people were networking, it was great to see, and we were very pleased to have everybody here today. So I'll say good afternoon. I'm Laverne Ells, and I'm the chair of the Greater Keene Chamber of Commerce, and I want to thank you for being here today. I also want to thank you for your continued support of the Chamber. It's because of that support that we are able to hold business luncheons, like this one today, as well as our other great programs throughout the year. One of our largest events to help fulfill our mission, which Laura mentioned, is our Spring Social and Raffle, which will be held in April. Tickets are on sale now, as Lynn has and others in the room probably have with them. On sale now from any board member as well as directly through the Chamber office. So it's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, of course, and I have the distinct pleasure of saying that Governor Maggie Hassen was sworn in as our 81st governor of New Hampshire on January 3rd, 2013. Now I have a whole speech that I was going to read, but I'm just going to highlight that as governor, she is focused on bringing people together to build a stronger, more innovative New Hampshire. Governor Hassen's first priorities are supporting the efforts of businesses to create jobs and balancing the state budget. She will also work to implement her innovative New Hampshire Jobs Plan, which focuses on building the best workforce in the country, providing tax credits to businesses, and providing businesses with technical assistance to help them create jobs. Please join me in welcoming our 81st governor, Governor Maggie Hassen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Laverne, for that introduction. And thank you to all of you and the Greater Keene Chamber of Commerce for inviting me to speak today. I also want to thank my friend and colleague, Senator Molly Kelly, who just does a terrific job representing all of you in Concord. So thank you, Molly. And I know we have members of the City Council here. I know we have your high school principal here, and I suspect others who are serving in either the House or in city or state government or community service in some way. And I thank you so much, all of you, for the work you do. It really is what makes our state unique and gives us such great possibilities. And before I get started, I get asked a lot right now, what's the first couple of months been like? Anything surprise you? And I will tell you, just to give you a snapshot, on Monday I had the great privilege of participating in the opening of a new manufacturing facility up at Hypertherm in Lebanon. And you may know that Hypertherm makes plasma cutting tools to cut things like metal for manufacturers. So they had a metal mesh ribbon that was cut with one of their plasma cutting tools, right? I carefully didn't hold the tool with the torch, you know. But I got to help do that at this new high-tech, LEED certified manufacturing facility in our wonderful state, which will employ hundreds of new people. And then I got to drive up to Andover, where I used an old-fashioned hand drill to tap a maple tree for the first maple syrup tap of the season. So that gives you a sense of the fun and the range of the job, and I think it reflects so wonderfully on what's so special about our state, both our past and our future. And we are on the threshold of a bright new future. We are as well positioned as any state to lead the country in innovative economic growth that will lift all of our people, and it will define the 21st century. In recent years, our people and our state have faced immense challenges. The recession has left no family, no business, no community unaffected. And though there are still challenges to address, today we can say confidently that New Hampshire has emerged in a better position than most other states. But we cannot sit back and wait for the innovation economy to develop, risking our economic future by allowing other states to create good jobs and attract innovative businesses. We must lead the way. Now is the time for New Hampshire to choose our own path forward, to build a foundation for a stronger, more innovative economic future that harnesses the greatness of our people and allows all of our citizens to succeed. I have presented to the legislature a fiscally responsible, balanced budget with no income or sales tax that is focused on innovation, economic growth, and creating good jobs to support a strong middle class. It is a budget that begins rebuilding based on the priorities that are critical for an innovative future, ensuring that all of our people can receive an education and develop skills for good jobs, attracting and growing cutting-edge businesses, and sustaining our high quality of life by keeping our communities and people safe and healthy. It's a budget that reflects what I have heard from communities, families, and businesses who I have met while traveling through Cheshire County and across New Hampshire. But it is also a budget that recognizes that we cannot address all of our challenges all at once in these uncertain economic times. We must still make difficult choices to protect our priorities while living within our means. In preparing our budget, we cut agency budget requests by more than $500 million general fund dollars, keeping general fund spending 7% below fiscal year 2008 for fiscal year 2014. But by making tough, fiscally responsible choices and by encouraging new innovation to make government more efficient, we have been able to balance the budget while making critical investments in public safety, higher education, economic development, and healthcare. First and foremost, to attract the innovative businesses and good jobs that will drive our economy forward, we must ensure that our workforce is the strongest in the nation by making higher education more affordable and more accessible for all of our people. Nearly every business that I have visited has told me that a skilled workforce is critical to their ability to grow. Many are ready to hire right now, but are having trouble identifying the workers they need. Others have partnered with our colleges and universities to build a workforce pipeline themselves with numerous innovative programs across the state. For example, the Dynamic Regional Center for Advanced Manufacturing at Keene State is partnering with businesses to give students experience with some of the most innovative technologies available today, such as three-dimensional printing and high-precision cutting devices. But the drastic cuts made to higher education in the last budget have hurt our ability to train a highly skilled workforce and to give our people the bright future that they deserve. Our students and families face one of the highest in-state tuition rates for public universities in the country. The price for classes at our community colleges is also prohibitively expensive for many working students. We need to make it possible for our middle-class families to compete and share in the American dream. Ever-rising tuition rates can force many families to avoid even considering New Hampshire's public colleges and universities, which hurts our competitiveness. If we hope to encourage job creation and innovative growth, We cannot keep losing our young people or fail to develop our workforce. That's why our budget substantially restores the cuts made to our community college and university systems. Our budget brings the university back to 90% of where it was before the cuts. And we have not only fully restored funding for the community college system in the first year, but we have added $3 million in the second. In exchange, and that's a good thing to clap for, I'll tell you. In exchange, the leadership of both the community college and university systems has made it clear that they plan to freeze tuition for the next 2 years. And you could clap for that too. But ensuring that our workforce is ready for the jobs of today and tomorrow also means that at each step along the way, New Hampshire's young people must be developing the skills, knowledge, and innovative thinking needed in a 21st century economy. Our budget protects our state's commitment to our public K-12 education system by fully funding the existing adequacy formula. And in the second year of the biennium, our budget fully funds the building aid formula and increases catastrophic aid and tuition and transportation assistance to our local schools. Our budget, and we can, very good. Senator Kelly is clapping for that. Thank you. Our budget also seeks to bring together teachers, local schools, higher education, and the business community to ensure a robust and rigorous education for all of our students, especially in the STEM fields of science, technology, math, and engineering. In an innovation economy, building skills in these fields is more important than ever and can lead to higher paying and more stable careers. We need to support engaging programs and curricula to help students understand how far they can go and how much they can accomplish if they stick with STEM education. New Hampshire is the birthplace of one such inspiring program, FIRST Robotics. I was just at the closing portion of the Granite State Regional FIRST Robotics competition last weekend, and it was great to see how FIRST is helping our students develop critical skills and learning the importance of team building while developing truly awe-inspiring robotics. And if you haven't seen these robotic teams compete, you're really missing something. It's really great. If your companies are going to have the workers you need for the future, we must find creative ways to engage the interests of our students in the STEM fields. Our budget plan includes incentive grants to help more school districts launch robotics teams because programs like FIRST should be an opportunity available to every student in our state. And just as we need to prepare our workforce for 21st century jobs, we need to lay the groundwork and provide the support innovative businesses need to create those jobs. Our economy is changing rapidly with growing sectors like clean energy, biotech, and IT. There are many businesses looking to expand or move to New Hampshire, existing businesses who could use targeted tax credits to develop new products, entrepreneurs who with just a little guidance are ready to turn a creative idea into a burgeoning business. Our budget doubles funding for our research and development tax credit to help businesses invest in new technologies that can lead to growth and job creation. It funds business incubators like the Innovation Research Center and Green Launching Pad at UNH. And our budget begins rebuilding our stagnating economic development efforts and revitalizing our international trade office to provide businesses with the technical support they need to compete and enter new markets around the globe. Our economic success, however, will depend on our efforts to maintain our high quality of life as one of the safest states, healthiest states, and most livable states in the nation. We cannot walk away from our responsibility to provide the basic services that are critical to the overall well-being of our families, our businesses, and our communities. This includes ensuring that all of our citizens are able to live healthy, productive lives with access to quality, affordable health care. Our state continues to experience some of the most expensive health insurance rates in the entire nation. Too many of our citizens are unable to access basic preventive care, forcing them to wait for an emergency before seeking help. But with the Federal Affordable Care Act, now the law of the land, we have new tools to help reduce costs and improve the health of our citizens, including $2.5 billion in federal dollars to expand Medicaid, which our budget includes. An independent study concludes that these funds will help thousands of individuals and families access health coverage, create an estimated 700 jobs in New Hampshire, and save Granite Staters more than $92 million. Uncompensated care at our hospitals' emergency rooms increases costs for everyone. By moving forward with Medicaid expansion, we can reduce that uncompensated care and save the average New Hampshire household an estimated $145 a year. The federal government will provide 100% of the funding for the first 3 years and no less than 90% thereafter, and the federal government has historically fulfilled its commitments to the Medicaid program. As both Democratic and Republican governors around the nation have said, it's a good deal, one that will, among other things, allow us to save money in existing state programs while increasing state revenues. Expanding Medicaid is the right thing to do for our economy, for our state's finances, and for our families. Under federal law, people insured through Medicaid expansion will receive coverage parity for mental health and substance abuse treatment. This parity is smart, and it is right, and so our budget provides for mental health and substance abuse treatment coverage for our existing Medicaid population as well. As we expand Medicaid, we will also need to re-examine the massive tax increase imposed by the last budget on Cheshire Medical Center and all of New Hampshire's hospitals, which has put a strain on their ability to maintain their operations. Our budget begins to restore those funds by reducing Medicaid enhancement tax revenues that go to the general fund, making more money available for uncompensated care payments. But for any of these reforms to happen, including Medicaid expansion, we will also need hospitals to work with us on moving to a Medicaid managed care system. We must also meet our commitments to our most vulnerable citizens to ensure that they can live independently and contribute to our economy and our civic life. That's why our budget fully funds the wait list for services for people with acquired brain disorders and with developmental disabilities. And it works to address one of our most pressing public health challenges, the need to restore our mental health system. Our budget helps us move forward with implementing the state's 10-year mental health plan. That is critical for the safety of the public and the health and well-being of our citizens. Each of us knows of someone, a friend, a family member, a neighbor, who has suffered from mental illness. Right now, many children who are suicidal are stuck for days in New Hampshire's emergency rooms because there is nowhere else for them to go. I get a daily report of the number of people waiting, and it's ranging between 2 dozen and 4 dozen, and it's often as many as about 10 children. They are waiting on a daily basis for critical mental health care, and without proper facilities or treatment, many have been restrained or even sedated. Some leave without care at all, often putting themselves and those around them at risk of harm. That's not the kind of state we are. Our budget resumes efforts to repair our mental health system, helping us move forward with implementing the state's 10-year mental health plan by phasing in changes with a systematic approach that will strengthen all aspects of mental health care in our state and move us towards more community-based care. While this won't solve all of the challenges facing our mental health system, it is beyond time that we make real and meaningful investments in helping those in desperate need of care. Supporting the health and well-being of all of our citizens also means ensuring that they can work, live, and raise their families in the safest possible communities. Public safety is truly government's most important responsibility, and our budget begins to rebuild our public safety infrastructure to keep our New Hampshire the safest state in New Hampshire. From mental health professionals, from parents, from educators, and from law enforcement, I have heard over and over again that the loss of the Children in Need of Services program was devastating to the hopes and dreams we have for our young people and for public safety. And our budget begins to restore this vital program. Over the last few years, cuts have taken 40 state troopers off of our roads and out of our communities. People in our most rural areas should not have to wait, as some of them have had to, for more than 1 hour for the nearest state trooper to arrive. That's why our budget puts 15 more troopers on the roads. Drug task force teams are also critical, supporting the efforts of small police departments to combat the growing problem of drug crimes, particularly those involving prescription drugs. And our plan provides for enough funds to continue operating 3 drug task force teams. And as we strengthen and protect our communities and grow our economy, we must always preserve what makes New Hampshire such a special place to live, work, and raise a family, our beautiful natural resources. The Land and Community Heritage Investment Program has been so important for protecting our natural, historical, and cultural resources, a responsibility that has not been met in recent years. So that's why our budget restores $1 million for LCHIP in the first year of the biennium and fully restores the program in the second. And our budget also begins restoring funding for our local communities. In fiscal year 2015, our budget provides $3 million to help pay for delayed and deferred water treatment projects for communities, and it increases Meals and Rooms distributions to communities by $5 million. As we make this progress, we also must continue to reform state government, and our budget moves forward with efforts to make state government more innovative and efficient, including a proposal that will help bring in the best minds from the private sector to help make recommendations on how we continue to improve state government operations. But we cannot balance the budget through efficiencies alone. We must identify sufficient revenue to protect our priorities and help build an innovative economic future. We kept state general fund spending 7% below 2008 levels. But even at that low level, there is not sufficient revenue to do the basics. That's why, to fund our most pressing priorities, especially higher education and mental health, my budget includes $80 million from licensing one high-end, highly regulated casino. A high-end casino would bring a significant economic boost, creating more than an estimated 2,000 jobs during construction and 1,000 long-term jobs while attracting new businesses and economic development. And the revenue from one casino would mean tens of millions of dollars a year that can be used to strengthen our economy and invest in our priorities, such as freezing tuition, strengthening our infrastructure, and improving our mental health system, as well as funds to address social costs like substance abuse and gambling addiction. With Massachusetts moving forward, we can no longer pretend that expanded gambling isn't coming to our communities. It is, and if we don't act, revenues from New Hampshire's residents will fund Massachusetts' needs while we still bear the social costs. Estimates show that the state stands to lose $75 million per year to social costs and lost revenue due to Massachusetts' decision to have casinos. and that's $75 million we lose if we do nothing. I believe we should develop our own plan for one high-end casino that will allow us to address social costs and invest in our priorities while at the same time protecting New Hampshire's brand as a family-friendly state with a great outdoor economy. This is an approach to funding our priorities that an overwhelming majority of our citizens support, just as they support meeting our basic needs of the state. Without the $80 million from one casino, I believe some of the most important priorities, like restoring funds to our universities and community colleges, addressing our strained mental health system, protecting our natural resources, will be among the first items cut. In fact, yesterday, a House subcommittee was considering what they would cut if gaming isn't passed. The result, they would cut more than half of our increased investment in our public university system, hurting schools like Keene State, and making it harder for students to access the affordable higher education they need to secure good jobs. So that's what's at stake in Concord right now. The true risk we all face is the risk of letting our economy fall behind and allowing the good jobs and growing businesses of the innovation economy to develop elsewhere. We must fund our priorities, and without $80 million from one high-end casino, I think you will see more of these cuts to critical investments. We can't let that happen. Our fiscally responsible budget plan is a difficult budget with difficult choices and shared sacrifice. But it is a balanced budget that relies on conservative revenue growth and responsible decisions. Most importantly, it is a budget that refocuses our state on the priorities that are critical for driving innovation and strengthening our economy, building a strong, highly skilled workforce ready for 21st century jobs, supporting and attracting growing businesses, and providing the basic support and services that keep our people safe, healthy, and productive. I believe the approach that we have taken puts our state on the right path and will help set the foundation to build a more innovative economy, an economy with more good jobs that can support a growing middle class, and an economy where all of our citizens can share in our success and our prosperity. I hope you will reach out to your legislators and to my office with your ideas as this process moves forward. I want to make sure that the voices of all Granite Staters are heard loud and clear so that all of our communities can share in our bright economic future. Because we cannot afford to ignore our challenges and just assume that the good jobs of the innovation economy will simply appear. We must lead the way, work together to build a stronger, more innovative New Hampshire. Thank you so much for having me today. About 15 minutes. I'd be happy to take questions. Yes, sir.
Governor, you spoke a lot about state programs.
Yeah.
From the head of the state, that makes some sense. There are lots of things that we as people in this part of the world do locally.
Yeah.
And it would be good if your administration looked back to the localities. You spoke a lot about community involvement and those sorts of things. I think many problems can be solved more efficiently at a local level. So if that's something you could keep in mind, we'd all appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. As you may know, I'm over on the seacoast, but I come from Exeter, where we have a lot of local effort and local problem solving too. And I know that you all, particularly around the areas of helping people who are aging stay in their homes and transportation, are doing a lot of really creative and wonderful things at the local level. And I would love to be a partner with that. Because, you know, the thing I like to say about New Hampshire is we're an all hands on deck kind of state. It doesn't matter who you are, or what you look like, or whether you're male or female or anything else. If you're willing to work hard and pitch in, you're welcome here. And I think that that's one of the things that makes us able to combine independence and community in the way we do.
Okay, Governor, what is your forecast and prediction for educational building?
We fully fund that in the second year of this budget, so that we'll be able to catch up on the monies we already owe that are in the building aid queue, if you will. What we still need to work on is a way to make sure that we are investing in new school buildings, particularly in the areas of the state where the buildings are really falling down, not safe, outdated. One of the things with our past building aid formulas has been that the state provided aid to any community that could get the bond passed, and it was often the wealthiest communities that could get the bond passed for their portion of the local school. And we paid kind of no matter what the plan for the building looked like, how big it was, how fancy it was. And so we ended up investing as a state in a lot of buildings that the wealthier communities in the state were building. But there are still a lot of places in the state where they couldn't get that initial bond passed. So that's one of the things I want to continue to focus on. Safety and safe, up-to-date, modern buildings need to be a real part of what we do. And so I'm committed to working with folks like Senator Kelly, who's been a leader on this. We can continue to fund what's called the tail, the bond payments that we're already committed to in this budget, but we're going to need to find ways in future budgets to invest in the school buildings, particularly in the neediest parts of the state. Yes, sir.
It appears to me we could use a gas tax increase. However, I think the proposition is 4, 4, 4, and 3. I think that's a little high. Is there any chance they could just do it 4 and 3 so we could get it passed?
Thank you for the question. That was a question about the gas tax. You may know that Representative Campbell's bill that from in the House that raises it 15 cents over 4 years passed on Wednesday. I applaud Representative Campbell and Senator Morse because they have both focused on the need for us to invest in infrastructure in the state. Over the next decade, we will be looking at a $750 million deficit in our infrastructure fund if we don't make some changes. So Senator Morse identifies infrastructure funding in his casino bill. Representative Campbell identifies it with his gas tax bill. I am very pleased that they are focusing on the need for infrastructure funding. We clearly need it. I spent 3 days as governor when we only had one operable bridge between the state of New Hampshire and the state of Maine. And it was not a comfortable 3 days. Partly because the drawbridge, the Sarah Long Bridge that had gone off its track, broke so that oil tankers couldn't get into port. And when you think about the ripple effect on our economy, when we don't have a modern and solid infrastructure, the Sarah Long Bridge story is one that comes to mind. I will also tell you, I'm going a little far afield here, but I just have to put in this plug for our state workers. Workers from the Department of Transportation were out on that bridge in incredibly high winds in the coldest weather of the winter. It was maybe -5 up there in those high winds. Over open water, they did major structural repairs to that bridge in 3 days to get it up and running. And that is the kind of dedication you see in our Department of Transportation and throughout our state from our state employees. I will So, getting back to your question, what I am interested in is a bipartisan, bicameral approach to infrastructure funding that can pass, build a consensus around it and pass. And so I am encouraging both the supporters of Representative Campbell's approach with the gas tax and the supporters of Senator Morse's around casinos to come together and figure out how we're going to get a plan in place that funds infrastructure, and I'll continue to work with both parties in both chambers to do that. Yes, sir.
To Carrie, follow up a little bit on that question as we talk about infrastructure. Can you expand at all on your budget plan as it relates to not just infrastructure, but the public transportation component of infrastructure, because that seems to be a place that there's a lot of shuck and jive at the legislative level, perhaps at the bureaucratic level, but also it's becoming an increasingly pressing issue in terms of just moving the volumes of people that we have to move without building huge and expensive road systems.
Thank you. The question is about public transportation. A couple of things that we've been able to do in the last couple months. First of all, the Executive Council has now approved the federal grant that will allow us to study rail up from Boston into Nashua, Manchester, possibly Concord, and I think that that's a really important step. I don't know what the study's going to show in terms of the economic feasibility of it. I do know that Manchester Airport could become qualified as an international airport if we have a public transportation link like rail to it, so I think that that's really important. I think, again, back to an earlier question, there are local communities that are doing some really important and regional planning commissions work around regional public transportation. But I think it's something we're going to have to take a more robust look at and have more statewide planning around, especially as our population ages. It's becoming more and more of an issue throughout the state, and I look forward to working on that. First thing I want to focus though on is our need to have modern and solid infrastructure, and that's a real pressing need, and it's going to be incredibly important for an innovative economy.
I think with your putting together the innovative economy, the ideas for trying to keep young people in the state and making higher education and education accessible, affordable, it's putting together a great package. I'm wondering if at this stage in your governorship, you've got some context as to how competitive we are going to be nationally. With an aging workforce, are we going to continue to be as attractive as other states are trying to package themselves to be the attractive destination for younger workforce and families?
Well, thank you. And the question really goes to our ability to compete with other states in an innovation economy, given the need for a new workforce and given the aging nature of our population and our workforce. The answer is it's right at our fingertips for a couple of reasons. Yeah, we're an aging population, but we also are a small state with a great history of coming together and doing things creatively and well without a lot of bureaucracy. So I see great opportunities with our community college system and our university system being really, really nimble. For those of you who don't know, our community college system over at Great Bay at Portsmouth is partnering with a company called Albany International and Saffron. It's a joint American-French venture, actually. They're building a whole new component to aerospace parts. It's really the skin of what goes on an airplane, allowing planes and other aerospace vehicles to be much lighter and stronger. They need to train workers for a skill that has never been, to make a product that's never been made before. And so Great Bay Community College has partnered with them to develop the curriculum. They've provided some of the machines and training facilities. We're providing the teachers and the curricula to train at least 400 new workers for that facility. And that's drawing other aerospace and defense businesses to that part of our state. And we're really going to have, I think, a very exciting cluster there because our community college system has been so quick and so ready. So the answer is we can do it. We're small, we're innovative, we have great advanced manufacturing in the state. I probably go to at least one advanced manufacturing business every 10 days or so, and they're looking for workers. So the one hand, we're really well positioned to do it. Our unemployment rate's lower than most of the rest of the country. We have a great work ethic in the state. I always say, put a New Hampshire worker next to anybody else, and they'll outwork you every time. But if you sense a bit of urgency from me, it's my knowledge that other states are looking at the same things we're looking at and are seeing an opportunity to invest and attract innovative businesses in this new era we're in, and we could lose out. So, I'm feeling a sense of urgency. We need to really begin not only to take advantage of the nimbleness we have in our higher education, we need to make sure we are delivering 21st century education K through 12. And then the other thing I'm most concerned about is just the affordability picture, because we are losing people. When I was campaigning, it wasn't unusual for people in the southern tier to tell me that their kids were going to school in Massachusetts because it was cheaper to go out of state to a Massachusetts public university or college than it was to stay at UNH. And that's unacceptable. Yeah, and the microphone didn't like it either.
Two more questions?
Okay, way in the back there.
Hi, my name is Chris Bills, and I run a local assisted living and skilled care facility in the place of Keene. And one of the areas that we're concerned about, because we're a Medicaid provider, is that there's a provider tax that we have to pay.
Yeah.
And in that, there's $9 million that's being sent out, but it's not getting a federal match and comes back to us. One of our challenges also is the fact that we have the lowest Medicaid rates in the entire country. Can you talk to that?
Sure. The question is a good one. It both speaks to the Medicaid enhancement tax you all have been paying, and in the last budget got swept into the general fund without any coming back, but it also speaks to the overall low Medicaid reimbursement rate New Hampshire pays. Couple of things. One is our budget begins to take the net revenue and return it for uncompensated care and provider payments. I know you all probably don't do uncompensated care in the same way a hospital emergency room does, but we are trying to take more of it back to provider payments. The second thing is the state entered into Medicaid managed care contracts last year, an important thing to do because we could manage and be more effective managing our Medicaid population, and we should save money doing it. But the forecast for savings from that Medicaid managed care was very high. And I think it was very high because it didn't anticipate increasing Medicaid rates at all. I think we are going to have to increase Medicaid rates. I think we have an opportunity with the Affordable Care Act to soften that blow a little bit. And the budget we've designed provides, I don't know what the right rate is yet, but it does provide for the opportunity to increase provider payments under Medicaid, and I think it's important for us to look at and work with all of you providers to do that. So I can't tell you specifically, I can tell you I know it's an issue, and we tried to leave room in the budget to address it. Again, steps at a time here, not everything all at once. Yeah.
With the recent sequester happening, have you done an analysis of how that's going to affect our state?
Yes, thank you. The question is about the sequester. I just was at the National Governors Association in DC a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about it there. Look, it's an $85 billion cut to the country's budget that has to be taken in 7 months, and there isn't an elegant way to do it. And the reason it's so inelegant and tough is because it was designed to be so bad that nobody would let it happen. And here we are. And it's not going to happen all at once, and we're not going to see drastic impacts all at once, but we do know that if nothing changes and the sequester continues, New Hampshire will likely lose about 6,000 jobs. That's a mixture of aerospace defense jobs and things like the shipyard. That's about 1% of our workforce, by the way. And we have been looking with state agencies at what the impact will be specifically, and we're working on that analysis now. It's complicated because it's in certain categories of funds, and some of our state agencies work on different fiscal years with the feds than others do, so we are still pulling out what it looks like. What I can tell you, though, is this. It will reduce the number of teachers in our classrooms for disadvantaged kids. It will reduce the number of teachers in our classrooms for special education. It will likely, sometime over the late spring or summer, force some of our most disadvantaged citizens and seniors out of public housing in towns that don't have any reserve in their public housing authorities, which is obviously a great concern. And the National Guard is planning on furloughs right now at a time when we are deploying, at a time when we are deploying our our 237 military police unit from the National Guard to Afghanistan, we're going to have to furlough people who provide support for that unit at home. As the commander-in-chief, that concerns me enormously. So I am hoping that all of us will, at a steady basis, reach out to our federal delegation who are concerned, both political parties. I mean, we've got a great federal delegation, but we do need to find our way as a country through this. And I'm hopeful that Washington will do that before the impacts begin to really roll. And yes, ma'am.
I know there weren't going to be any more questions, and I just have to call your attention to something that happens here in Keene. It's this excellent program that contributes $8.67 million to the economy every year, including $250,000 in room and meals distribution. It's the Keene Pumpkin Festival. Last year I stood up and did this, and Governor Lynch gave me his cell phone number and gave us some incredibly helpful connections to the Department of Transportation and the state troopers that ended up being a $6,000 help to the Keene Pumpkin Festival. So I'm wondering if you'll be willing to help the Keene Pumpkin Festival, because I find that mentioning the governor really, really helps. And the second thing is, if you say yes, we would love to invite you, because this is the year. Last year we won a national television show, Pumpkin Wars. This year we are bringing the record home. By Boston, it's coming back to New Hampshire. It's a wonderful New Hampshire program that's all about families and outdoors, and we'd love to have you be part of it.
Well, thank you. You're very, very good at this. So I had the great pleasure of being toured through the Pumpkin Festival by Molly Kelly last year. By the way, for those of you who didn't notice, there was a marriage proposal in that stack of pumpkins. Yeah, okay, almost every year it was new to me. I thought it was pretty fun. I would be happy to help, and my cell phone number is something that I feel like the whole state has, but it's 770-4180. I feel free. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Governor Hassen, and thank you all for being here. We will, I think the governor has a couple of minutes. I do have a couple of minutes. But the official luncheon is over. We thank you again very much for coming, and we hope you have a good rest of the day.